Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Necrons. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Ophydian destroyers and why I believe they are the MVP of the Necrons index at present. So we're going to get into their datasheet, do a bit of a review, give a Planet 40k rating at the end of the video. You probably already know where I'm going to go with it, but I'm going to explain why I think they are very good. So let's crack on with the rear side of the data card. So they're 110 points for 3 or 220 points for 6. You're taking them in 3 or 6. And they were 30 points per model in 9th edition, so that would be 90 points for 3 or 180 points for 6. So they have gone up in price. Now you did in fact have to play for the plasma site, which was 15 points per model, and we're going to be getting 1 or potentially 2 of those for free with this unit, depending on the unit size. In fact, it says it right there on the left, war gear options. For every 3 models in this unit, you can have 1 plasma site. We'll talk about the plasma site later on. So, between 3 and 6 Ophydian destroyers, and every model is equipped with the Ophydian hyperphase weapons. So they've actually changed the weaponry there. We used to have the hyperphase reap blades and the hyperphase threshers. Now they are just kind of merged into one, and they are hyperphase weapons. So other than being infantry, there's not really much else to look at on this side of the data card. So let's flip it over and check out the statistics to begin. So the movement has gone down to 9 inches, that used to be 10. Still pretty quick, 9, not too bad. Toughness has gone up to 5, it was 4, so toughness 5, yeah, it's okay. The save is still pretty crap, it's a 4+ armor save, 3 wounds apiece, leadership 7+, and objective control is 2. So the rest of those statistics are kind of as standard, but that armor save still lacking on a 4+. I personally don't think it's a big deal, but let's get into why. Let's talk about the melee weapon to begin. They've got the Ophydian hyperphase weapons. So this is a melee attack, of course. It's got 5 attacks per model, weapon skill 3+, strength 4, minus 2 AP and 2 damage. So if you've got a full unit of 6 of them, that's 30 attacks, on average 20 hits, against toughness 4, on average it's 10 wounds. So you might kill maybe 3 or 4 Space Marine intercessors, but I don't believe that's the reason for taking them. But again, we'll get onto that in a moment. You just got to bear with me a bit. So we've lost the reap blades and we've lost the threshers. We've lost the extra claw attacks as well. Now the weapon itself it's kind of like the threshers. It's not so much. It's not really closer to the reap blades. It's more closer to the threshers. But it's okay. It's okay. There's a lot of attacks there, although it is only strength 4. Seems a bit weird. Strength 4 with 2 damage. You don't see that often. Let's move into the ability side. In fact, no, before we do that, we need to talk about the plasma sight. The plasma sight does make a difference to the weaponry here. So once per battle, you can use your plasma sight, and you can basically use this ability to give devastating wounds to the unit for that one phase. So again, if you've got 3 of these guys, you have 1 plasma sight, so that'd be 1 fight phase. And if you've got 6 of these guys, you'll have 2 plasma sights, so that'd be 2 fight phases in the given battle. So devastating wounds with potentially 30 attacks. With your 20 hits, you're looking at what, 3 and a bit devastating wounds perhaps. That's okay, that's not too bad. Maybe you'll increase slightly how many models you'll kill. Well, you will, in fact, not maybe, you will. But let's move into the weapons. Let's move into the ability side of the data card. We've got Deep Strike. That's a very good ability, of course. Coming in more than 9 inches away from enemy models from turn 2 onwards. You've got reanimation protocols, of course, but this is the main reason for taking these guys. It's the tunneling horrors. It's such an underrated ability, and I'm going to go through it with you guys right now. So what is it? So at the end of your opponent's turn, you're going to pull your unit off if they're not within engagement range. So you're going to remove them from the battlefield, and they're going to go into reserves. Then in your reinforcement step of your movement phase, which is literally coming right up because your opponent has just ended their turn, you're going to literally redeploy them more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So they're effectively re-deep striking in. Now why this is good? Well, there's a number of reasons why this is good. There's a lot of reasons. In fact, let me save that for the battlefield roll section. I just wanted to mention a few things before we get into that. We've lost the hardwire for destruction ability. Rerolling hit rolls of a 1, that's gone. The additional hit with the reap blades is gone. The -1 to the opponent's hit rolls with the whipcord bodies is gone. But yeah, everything else is pretty much as it is. But let's talk about the battlefield roll. Let's talk about the main reason why you take these guys. I'm getting excited now. So the battlefield roll for these guys is secondary missions. That is the main reason. There is a second part to this. I've got a second bullet point, which is charging into objectives potentially, but really it's about the secondaries. Now I'm going to display a list for you of, this was actually my notes, but I thought why not share my notes with you. It makes more sense to do that rather than explain it without you actually seeing what I'm doing. So I'm going to go through the top part of the list here. We've got behind enemy lines. They can do it. With that tunneling horrors ability, they can get behind enemy lines any turn. Engage on all fronts. They can do it. Area denial. They can do it. Investigate signals. They can do it. Capture enemy outposts. They can do it. Secure no man's land. Attempt to target. Extend battle lines. Overwhelming force. Cleanse. Deploy teleport Homer. And storm hostile objective. All 12 out of 16 of those objectives they can do it in any turn. All because of their tunneling horrors ability, which allows them to come in. Now, some of them are going to be easier than others because they're going to be guarded. Maybe you fail a charge move potentially. Maybe there's a screen out there so that you can't get into, say, storm hostile objective potentially. But a lot of those, like investigate signal, you can just literally pop them in, a unit of 3 of them, every single turn. And that's going to give a lot of psychological, mental, gamesmanship to your opponent, because they're going to have to now screen off a lot of the board throughout the entirety of the game, because this isn't just turn 3 and then they're finished. They can do this turn 4, they can go back in. Turn 5, they can go back in and come out turn 5. So for the entire game, your opponent needs to screen off, especially their home objective, because if you get, which one is it, capture enemy outpost, 8 victory points, they don't want to leave that unguarded, do they? Especially not late game. Now that was 12 out of 16, so there's still 4 others that we need to discuss. No prisoners and assassination. They can potentially try and do it. I'm not saying they're going to be great at it, but they can still fight in melee, of course, with the hyperphase weapons. And if there's a character there or a lone operative, they can get hold of them and potentially do that job. You will have better options to do that job, but they can do it. And you won't need to do defend stronghold, which is another one, because that's going to be equipped. Well, that's going to be saved for your warriors or your ghost arcs, your reanimator, or your doomsday arc, anything that's at the back, defending our home objective point. It doesn't need to be done by your Ophydians. In fact, it probably could be, but why would you, right? Why would you? The only thing that I think they can't do is bring it down. And even then, you potentially could argue they could in groups of 6, but I would rather take them in 3s. Take them in 3s, 1 or 2 units to be doing all these objectives. Whatever card you get, you've got a chance of doing it with just this 1 unit. That's incredibly good for your secondaries. If you get bring it down, you potentially just burn it or do it with other units that you've got in your list. So yeah, that is the Battlefield role. Let me move into some... There's not really much synergy, to be honest with you. That is definitely going to be one of the cons, which we go on to in a moment. Now there is the Protocol of Hungry Void. If you wanted to get them into a melee fight, you could add one to the strength characteristics of the models. So that'll be strength 5. Could help against those Marines. Could help against toughness 5 models, in fact, to win on 4s. You're not going to really be getting extra AP unless you're being led, or unless the unit's being led, which will only be done by the Sovereign Coronal, which you're not really going to use on Ophydians because they're going to be bouncing around all over the place. Very similar to the Catan, the Transcendent Catan. That's going to be bouncing around all over the place. But I just think the Transcendent Catan is slightly too expensive to be doing things like teleport homers, investigate signals. Leave that to your 110 point unit with the Ophydians. So let's get into the pros and cons. Start with the pros. Amazing for scoring secondaries, so underrated. Believe me guys, when you start realising the power of being able to just literally move around, you'll understand what I'm talking about. They've got the deep strike ability naturally anyway, so from turn 2 they just pop in and away you go. You've got the 3 plasma sites depending on how big your unit is. So I would just go with 3s. Take 1 plasma site. You're not going to really need it. I don't really want to get into a fight with them. I want to try and protect them so that they can do secondaries that don't relate to violence. They can just do things like, again, they're probably teleport homers, investigate signals, things like that, or just get onto an objective. Yes, you will need to potentially use it at some point, storm hostile objective and stuff like that, but I'd rather keep them alive as long as I can. They're moving 9 inches naturally. You're not really going to be moving them much on foot. I think you're just going to be using tunneling horrors every single turn. And in fact, speaking of that again, what you would do with tunneling horrors, even if, like, let's say it's the end of your opponent's turn, just pull them off anyway. Just pull them off regardless, because you've got the option of putting them anyway. You don't know what card you're going to draw, so just pull them off regardless of what you've got. If you didn't get the right cards, or you've got full cards anyway, you didn't draw any new ones, then just put them somewhere safe. Put them back into your deployment area, put them somewhere where your opponent isn't going to get them, maybe behind terrain, on an objective and things like that. And then you can again pull them off in your opponent's turn, because also they can be then used for potential deep strike screen as well, if you're short on that in terms of your back lines and stuff. where were we? We're on the pros. That was the pros. So we're on to the cons now. No leaders. The Scorbit Lord does not go with the Ophydian destroyers. He only goes with the Scorbit destroyers now. So there's no destroyer lord for the Ophydians. They're only strength 4 in melee. I think they should have got strength 5, but hey, they got strength 4. They've only got 4+ armor save. That's as it was in 9th edition. We're kind of used to that. And finally, they're lacking index synergy. There's not really much else that synergizes. Yeah, you could use the Undying Legion stratagem, but really you're saving that for your Lich Guard, your Warriors, Immortals. You don't want to do it for Ophidian Destroyers, especially not in 3s. And you're not really going to use the Sovereign Coronal really either. So there's not much synergy. It's not much synergy. Right, so let's get on to our Planet 40k rating today for the Ophidian Destroyers. I personally would put them as a 5-star, but no, you know what, who am I kidding? They're going to be a 5-star for me. Now, you may disagree, you may think, well, what are you smoking? They're not a 5-star. Try them out, and you'll see the power of scoring with the Ophidian Destroyers. That's all I'm going to say there. But guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and you'll have to let me know how you get on with Ophidian Destroyers. Make sure you are subscribed if you are new around here. See you in the next one.